And when I did get glasses, this was in grade 8. My grandma was not happy. She would not let me wear them outside. And then she would say, no, ਕੁੜੀਆਂ ਦਾ ਵਿਆਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਜੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ glasses ਲੱਗੀਆਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ.
Basically, when you and I were younger, we would go to the eye doctor. Every year it would get worse. We would just get new glasses. Okay. Now we have ways to manage it. We have special glasses that help to reduce the axial length. That's what grows in myopia, to make myopia higher, to help to reduce the risk of it becoming higher. So now there's ways to manage it rather than just saying, okay, you went from -1 to -2, we'll just give you new glasses. You know what I mean? We try to reduce the amount of change. So there's lenses to do that. There's contact lenses, there's glasses lenses, there's drops that we use to help to manage it. So basically what we hope for is if your child without the management may have ended up to be a -7, maybe there'll only be a 5 or a 6.
Hello, my name is Roop Rai, and this is the Roop Rai Show. Today, I speak to Dr. Shelly Taneja-Dhaliwal, who is an optometrist, a mother, and someone who I describe as kind, empathetic, and full of life. I've been trying to interview her for a very long time, but our schedules did not allow us to talk until today. Please subscribe to the Roop Rai Show wherever you get your podcast from, and you can also watch us on YouTube and Facebook. Links are in the caption. Now, Dr. Shelly Taneja-Dhaliwal. Hi, Shelly.
Hello.
Thank you so much for making the time to talk to me.
Thank you, Roop, for having me. I'm super excited about this.
I've been trying to get you on for 7 months now.
I know. The times just never meshed, right?
So last night, Shelly asked you, what is Shelly's story? And you told me that you don't have any challenges or you don't have any anxieties or anything, that you're just a happy person all the time. So you don't have any story, but I'm sure everyone has a story. So what is Shelly's story?
That's such a tough question, Ruth. Honestly, I think overall, I'm going to be very honest. I've been blessed. I come from a really good family, parents that were generally understanding. Of course, as you know, being brought up in Canada and first generation Canadian, we had our fights. Do you know what I mean? In terms of we fought for gender equality, things, that we kind of take for granted now that we couldn't do back then. I see these kids who have first generation parents now, and they're amazing parents. Like they don't have a problem with them wearing what they want to or talking to someone of the opposite sex, or just the little things that we used to worry so much about. I think that was my biggest story growing up, but overall I feel like with my parents being understanding, I've been able to get through to them over the years. And now I see my mom with my daughter, and she's amazing. And like she tells her she loves her every day, things that we never got told. Do you know what I mean? But her parents didn't know any better, right? So I was telling my mom that the other day. I was like, Mom, I was like, do you know you never told us that you loved us? And she's like, you should just know that. We worked this hard and did all this for you, and you should just know that. I'm like, well, sometimes it would just have been nice to have been told, you know what I mean? And shown some affection. And it's interesting because she's completely changed that with my daughter. Like with my daughter, it's I love you every day. With my son, I love you every day. And and I see within my kids, like, how when we were younger, we always knew our brothers were more superior to us. Do you agree to that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I have 2 sons and 1 daughter. And I swear to you, I don't think my sons think they're any better than my daughter. They don't even understand that concept. Do you know what I mean? So I've worked really hard, I feel like, in my own family life and in my own with my own kids to make sure there's a lot of gender equality. You know what I mean? Without making the boys feel inferior as well. Right? Because that's sometimes what happens. We're so worried about the girls and them, and then sometimes the boys can feel inferior. So I've made a conscious effort to make sure it's equal.
Mm-hmm. So what did I tell you when you told me you didn't have a story? I told you that so with someone as vivacious as you are, you would have a story. You would have something to say. So we just need to break you out of that shell. And there is so much value I think you can add to people who are listening or anyone really. Like there's topics like just what you just mentioned, gender equality or growing up South Asian in a Canadian environment with South Asian parents. There were so many struggles or so many challenges, I would say, all of us have gone through, and that made us who we are today. That made us the parents that we are today. We're a lot more conscious about how we're talking to our children. We're a lot more aware of how they may feel. Because I don't think my parents ever knew or I guess knew like if they knew better they would have done that, but I don't think that feeling part was ever a part of that parenting, like, oh, this may hurt her feelings. I don't think that was even existing in that parenting relationship.
Oh, not at all. Like, I remember always feeling like even little things, like my parents would never feel like they had to volunteer, for example. Do you know what I mean? Like, I remember in our schools, there was never any Indian volunteers, right? And, we would be so different from everybody else, right? And then we had this, we'd look different as well because our parents didn't understand that, maybe we should wear clothes or maybe we shouldn't have tail in our hair and guttan. Like, when we go to school, like it made back then, especially like now there's so many more Indian kids. Do you know what I'm saying? When I went to school, I was like maybe me and one other kid in my grade that was East Indian, you know what I mean? And then, I feel like we're so conscious about these things to make sure our kids don't feel bad in any aspect, whether it's how we speak to them or how they feel at school or how someone would perceive them. And I always ask my kids, I'm like, is there any problems? Every day I ask them, like, what did you do at recess? Who did you play with? Our parents would be like, huh, like, how was your day? And that's it. We'd be like, good. And that was it. We're more like, okay, so who did you play with at lunch? Like, what did you play? What did you eat? Did you finish your lunch? Well, I see you didn't finish your lunch. Were you talking too much? Like, we ask a lot more questions and we're a lot more open with our children, right? So also, like, I also felt like, growing up, I could never talk about the opposite sex ever. Do you know what I mean? We weren't even allowed to have friends that were boys. With my daughter, I always, like, she's had boys that are her friends and she's allowed to have play dates with them. And there's nothing wrong with it. Um, we were always kind of like, but we were told to believe that there was something wrong with being friends with the opposite sex, which I think is so sad. It's amazing how much society has changed. I'm so grateful for that. And I'm grateful that my children get to live in the society today rather than what it was when I was growing up, to be honest.
Oh, absolutely. Talking about being frowned upon. Another thing that was frowned upon was my grandmother frowned upon me wearing glasses. So
That still
let's
happens.
Oh, let's talk about eyes because they, as in my mom and my grandma, avoided taking me to the doctor for the longest time until I could not read the board from the back of the class. Like that's when I was taken to an eye doctor. And then when I did get glasses, this was in grade 8, my grandma was not happy. She would not let me wear them outside. And then she would say, no, ਕੁੜੀਆਂ ਦਾ ਵਿਆਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਜੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ glasses ਲੱਗੀਆਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ. And then I think
Totally.
literally it was sort of like I had to, of course, fight back. I was a rebel. And then I started wearing glasses all the time. And it became a habit that I still wear them all the time. So thanks to my grandma, I always wear glasses. But yeah, so the first time I went to the doctor was in grade 8. But you tell me that everyone should be taking their child to an optometrist much earlier than that. Talk to me about that.
Absolutely. It is so important that children get their eyes examined starting at 6 months. There's a reason why Alberta healthcare covers it till 19 years of age. Getting your eyes examined early allows me to detect disease and anything that I can only fix till the age of 8 or 9 early. So, like, for example, if your child has amblyopia, which is like a lazy eye, which they would not know about or you would not know about, sometimes it doesn't even look like. When I say lazy eye, a lot of people will assume that the eyes will turn in or turn out or either way. Sometimes you can have a lazy eye and a straight eye. Okay. So it just means that eye is weak. So parents, they'll do things like, oh, and like, this person can see so far away. My child can see so far away, but sometimes it's just out of one eye and the child doesn't even realize it. So you go in for your first exam at 8 years of age. Okay. You take your child in. At 8 now, I'm scrambling because I notice that one eye is really weak. And even with glasses, I can't make it a lot better. And we have this plastic period from 0 to 8, usually, maybe 9. Okay. And to make that eye better. So I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? I need to give this kid glasses right away. I need to start patching right away. But the results probably aren't going to be really good because they're at the end of their plastic period, that 8 to 9 years old, right? Now, if I would have caught that same child at 5 or 4, I'm very likely to get that child down to 20/25 or 20/20 really good vision with glasses. There's just so much more I can do if I'm seeing it younger. And I find a lot of times, like in our community, we have, parents coming in for their eye exams because they're noticing something or they're over 40, but they've never had their children checked. And, I make it a priority to tell them you need to get your kids' eyes examined,
Yep.
and this is why. And you know what? Eye exams are not just about vision. We're checking your color vision, right? And that could make a difference in what a child chooses to do in the future in terms of what they want to become or what path they want to take. And I would hope to, like, if it was my child, I'd want them to know these things younger so they could make those decisions based on that.
Thank you for sharing all that information on your Instagram too. I think it needs to be repeatedly disseminated to the general audience, and not just I wouldn't say just my parents' generation. I think even our generation. Many times we think that it's not really important. Like the child's able to see, it's not really a big deal. Why should we go? Waste an hour, go see an optometrist. And when I brought my daughter in, this was, I think, a few years ago when she came to
Yes,
see you. That was when I don't think she was having any vision problems particularly, but she
I don't
needed
think so.
glasses. Yes, she was able to read just fine. She was able to see just fine, but we brought her in and she needed glasses and we didn't know.
And I see that so often. You know what I mean? And nowadays, especially with kids being homeschooled and on the tablet and the phone, our life is just different what it was 20 years ago, right? Even when we were brought up. And
Right.
some studies have even shown links between, close devices and myopia, for example. And some studies have not because it's still quite new, but I think it's important to make sure we do get our kids' eyes checked, just to make sure. A lot of people also assume me and my husband have no issues. So why would our kid have issues? But I've seen it so much when the parents have perfect eyes and the kids do have short-sightedness or astigmatism or long-sightedness. So it's really
Mhm.
important just to take that step and get your kids' eyes checked.
Let's do a quick recap of grade 8 science. What is short-sightedness, long-sightedness, myopia, hyperopia? So if you can quickly go over that.
Okay. So myopia and nearsightedness are the same things, okay? What it means is you're able to see close up, but far away, things will be blurry, okay? And that depends on how short-sighted you are, that where it becomes blurry. Long-sightedness is usually when you can see far away better, but close up, you're going to have some issues. But the more long-sighted you are, you can have issues with both close up and far away. So basically, in short-sightedness, the light falls in front of the retina. In long-sightedness, it falls behind the retina.
And most of the cases in younger children would be short-sightedness.
It
Or do
depends
you
on
get long?
how young. I see a lot of astigmatism with long-sightedness as well. I feel more in younger kids. So basically, all children are born with a prescription. First of all, I think we should start there. So all kids are born with a prescription of long-sightedness and astigmatism, but there's a range. So when you bring your child in at 6 months, we just make sure that they're within that range. And then when I see them every year, they should be getting closer and closer to zero. So by 5, they should be zero. But if they've gone the other way to become nearsighted, then we prescribe because something's going on. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Obviously, if they're a little out of range, we let it go, maybe see them back in 6 months, make sure they progress to being more normal in 6 months. We just watch it. So, yeah.
And what is astigmatism?
Okay, so astigmatism is also a refractive error. First of all, I want to start by saying that it's not a disease. A lot of time when I say astigmatism, I find people really freak out about that one. But it's also just another refractive error. It's a correction in your glasses. So how I explain nearsighted is when light falls in front of the retina, farsighted, light falls behind the retina. In astigmatism, light falls on the side, somewhere on the side, and we got to bring it back to the middle.
Mhm.
So like they would have a correction in one part of their lens rather than all the way around.
Okay. Yeah,
Your
that makes
eye's shaped
sense.
like a rugby ball, basically.
Yeah. Gotcha. So can myopia or nearsightedness, that is, I always get confused because it's so counterintuitive. So if you can see up close, that you are nearsightedness.
Yeah, because
And
you're
if you
seeing
can
close, so
see
you're
for, yeah.
nearsighted. Yeah.
So myopia, nearsightedness, does that ever get better?
There's lots of ways to manage it now. So I don't know if you remember, but are you short-sighted? I think you're short-sighted, right? Roop?
I have myopia,
Yeah, okay. So we're both nearsighted, short-sighted, myopia. Or me.
nearsightedness. Yeah.
Um, So basically, when you and I were younger, we would go to the eye doctor. Every year it would get worse. We would just get new glasses. Okay. Now we have ways to manage it. We have special glasses that help to reduce the axial length. That's what grows in myopia to make myopia higher, to help to reduce the risk of it becoming higher. So now there's ways to manage it rather than just saying, okay, you went from -1 to -2, we'll just give you new glasses. You know what I mean? We try to reduce the amount of change. So there's lenses to do that. There's contact lenses, there's glasses lenses, there's drops that we use to help to manage it. So basically, what we hope for is if your child without the management may have ended up to be a -7, maybe there'll only be a 5 or a 6. You know what I mean? And it's just that so much changes when you're over a -7. The risk of so many diseases go up. And I think a lot of people don't realize that, or a lot of people just think, oh, it's just a vision thing, no big deal. No, it's honestly the risk, it's not just an inconvenience anymore. After you're -7, your risk of retinal detachments goes up by almost like 7 times. So I work really hard with all my patients to manage their myopia. But do I see it usually get better? I don't usually see it get better, to be honest.
So carrot juice does not help.
Carrot juice is amazing and it's really good for the health of your retina, but is it going to stop you from becoming myopic or no, that does not help. What would I recommend is sending your kid outdoors a lot. That can help. You know what I mean? Instead of them sitting on devices all day. Being outdoors is really, really important. And that's something a lot of kids are lacking nowadays because they're so, they have access to things in their home that they don't need to go outside.
Talk to me about the impact of devices on myopia. I understand there's not any definitive studies so far. Of course, we'll find out in 10 years from now, the
100%.
impact
Our
of
kids
COVID
are the
and
guinea pig.
devices. Yeah. But what are you seeing in your office right now?
Honestly, I see a lot of myopia and more so in the last year. I see a lot of parents and families with perfect vision and then their kids have myopia and it's so disheartening for them, but I try to explain it to them as best as I can, right? I also show them like, look, this is what your child can see without glasses and this is what they can see with glasses. And 80% of learning is through vision. If your child is sitting in class and can't see, then all they are focusing in on is seeing, not learning. And that's so important, right? We send our kids to school to learn, not to just try to see, right? Um, yeah, I am seeing it a lot more. I feel there must be some correlation between devices and all of this. But see, it's interesting to say because sometimes I'll have two kids from the same family that probably use a device the same amount, and one kid is myopic and the other is perfect.
Hmm.
So nothing's definitive yet.
Yeah, yeah. But any advice to parents, regardless, in terms of device use?
Yes, yes. Okay. So there is recommendations, and I will go through them with you. We recommend from 0 to 2 years old, no device time. No, and that includes TV. So a lot of people will think that screen time means like iPads, things close up, but no, it includes the TV. So no TV, no device time for kids from 0 to 2 years old. From 2 to 5 years old, we recommend 1 hour. And we can do that because kids that age don't really have homework and things like that. And then from 5 up, we recommend 2 hours of screen time. Um, Not including school, I guess, because they got to go to school and
Yeah.
they have things to do. And now, even with their education, so much of it is on the computer nowadays,
Yeah.
even if they
I'm
didn't go
thinking
to, sorry.
Yeah, as you're talking, I'm thinking about my daughter who is 10 years old, who's in grade 5. So she comes home from school, she is not on a device for the time that she's having lunch or when she has an activity, but when she comes home she wants to talk to her friends. And how does she talk to her friends? She goes online. So she talks to them for an hour or half an hour to an hour every night. And then but we used to give her Kindle, but now we've stopped giving her Kindle too. We
Yeah.
just give her a book. We're like, read a book. We're trying to make changes, but it's so hard to just take them away from devices, especially in these times when we can't go over to anyone's house that easily.
Something I do with my kids, just like it's little changes. The fact that you made the change with the Kindle, that's to me, that's huge. That's you trying, right? I do a little thing where I give my kids a house phone to call their friends. So they actually talk rather than having to see them. And I'm like, you can do that. We did that all the time. You're not calling to see your friend. You saw them all day. Just talk to them on the phone. You know what I mean? So we have our house line still. And I really use it for them. Like even when I get home, I try my very hardest to put my phone to the side, unless it rings, just to be more present with my children. So if I need to call someone, I tend to go for the house phone. So they see me doing it, I feel like inclines them to do it more as well. And
Yeah,
I
we
tell
don't
them
have
to
a house phone. We haven't
just,
had a house phone since 2009, I think. It's been a long time.
yeah, that is a
Yep.
long time. I have this thing with house phones. I really like them still. I'm old school.
Do you have that corded ones with the
No,
spiral
all of them.
cord?
No, I don't have that. Everything is cordless in the house. I miss those though.
I remember the rotary ones in India when I used to go to my nana's house in a village in India. So they had those rotary phones, and the phone numbers used to be two-digit numbers. It
Oh
would be like
yeah.
40, 44, 30, 31. Their
Oh,
number was 31. It was really cool.
oh my God. Good old days, eh?
Yeah.
Things our
My
kids
yeah,
live
my
through.
Yeah, it showed my daughter a TELUS payphone. I think it's in Falconridge in one of
Yeah,
those strip malls there, and she just looked at me. She's like, "How do you use this?"
that's so
But
funny.
yeah, coming back to eyes again. Another question I had was about dry eyes. Living in Calgary, especially, dry eye is a major thing, especially for me. When I wear contacts, my eyes are red within 6 hours, 7 hours. So I try not to wear contacts for that reason. So talk to me about dry eyes. Why does it happen? Does the environment contribute to it? And can it be managed?
Absolutely can be managed. In your case, there's different contacts we can try. Um, Also, sometimes now with the mask, there's also mask associated dry eye. So, like a lot of people were breathing, and like normally we breathe this way, right? But now the air is going into our eye. So that's also adding to the dryness that we're feeling. And so, not only being in Calgary, but the way we got to live currently. Um, so yes, it can be managed. There's drops. A lot of dry eye can also be associated with blepharitis, which is an inflammation on your eyelashes. So a lot of people think that if I just put the drops in my eyes, I should be fine. But no, because you should get them checked, because it could be that you have blepharitis, which is an eyelash inflammation. It could be that you have blocked glands, and it depends on what kind of dry eye you have. Do you know what I mean? Is it a tear film thing? What is it causing this? So it's important to get that checked so we can treat you appropriately. There's so many different types of drops for different types of dry eye, then if you do have blepharitis, we give you lid wipes to use to help deal with that. If you have meibomianitis, which is like a blocked gland, then we give you like warm compresses you should be using. And then I always like to add in an omega-3, which helps to like increase your tear film. And it also really good for heart and brain, so nobody has to think, and it's a really good one to add in. So my hopes is always to get my patients off the drops and the lid wipes and things, and just have them on the omega-3. But the omega-3, you have to make sure you've been taking it for 3 months for it to work, and you have to take it properly, so it is a commitment. um, there are other treatments we offer, like temperature, which actually helps to open up the glands. So that's kind of my resort afterwards. I have done it on a few patients, and everyone I've done it on just loves it. Doesn't mean they don't have to take the drops anymore, but so much less, and they're so much more comfortable throughout the day.
Mm-hmm. And if someone wanted to come see you, how can they contact you, or where can they come see you?
Yeah, so my clinic's name is ICU Optometry. Phone number is 403-798-3711. You can also go on our website to book an appointment, www.icuoptometry.com. Also, I do have a really good Instagram page that I do leave open for anyone to follow, just because I think I provide really good information about eyes. And my name on that, if you just look up my name, Shelly Taneja, you will find me and you can follow me. And I think I have really good information about the eyes, and I hope you guys like it too.
Last but not the least, why did you choose to become an eye doctor?
Um, it's been so long. Okay. I always wanted to be a medical doctor. So I had, my whole life I was thinking I'm going to become a doctor, like a family doctor or a specialist of some sort, like a heart doctor. And back when I was 20, my dad had a heart attack. And I saw the way we dealt with the doctor in terms of like all the emotional involvement. And I thought to myself, I am not the type of person that'll be able to forget all this emotions when I get home. I'll just keep thinking about my patient. So I decided, when I was 20, to switch my degree to computer information systems, actually. Finished it up with honors. And then I was like, you know what? I am not a computer person. I am such a people person. I love people, but I want to do it in a positive way as much as I can. And that's when optometry came to my mind, because I feel like, yeah, we give some news that may not be good, but for the most part, we're helping people. You know what I mean? We're helping people see, educating people, we're giving really good information. I just, and I think it was the best choice I made. I love what I do. My husband always jokes and says, when we retire, I'm like, what do you mean retire? He's like, you can pick up your hobbies. I'm like, this is my hobby. I love what I do. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Shelly, for your time today. Really, really appreciate it. I am so glad that I was able to get you here, and I hope to talk to you again. Perhaps maybe more on eyes, maybe not on eyes, maybe on a different topic, but I would love to have you again.
Thank you so much, Roop. Thank you to all the audience. I really appreciate it.